Well, for those of you watching the video version, just ignore him. If they had a donut with me, could buy him off with a donut. You could behave. Oh no, that's many more giddy. Right, okay. Well, your season may not have been so giddy, Louis, because obviously several years now removed from raising the Stanley Cup, the Blues. They still actually desire to possess it again. Like I said, ever since the Blues won 2019, I kept saying the Blues are a team where you think, given the amount of time spent to look at final, you do think they'd have at least, 2-3 under their belts before 2019, but yet, they haven't. And the Blues, I think, are a team that could easily repeat. I think they could easily repeat as champions. I mean, I've kept saying, review of the 1920 season, I thought if we did not have that pause, it could have been. But, yeah. And despite the Blues now having some obstacles that got put in their path, they weren't able to make it into the postseason, but obviously 2020-21. Oh, it's still a mouthful. However, Stanley Cup dreams, they were crushed by, obviously, the dominating Colorado Avalanche in a 4-game sweep. And this season, I feel, was filled with average performances, excluding a few players, and there will be a need for the Blue Station to look in the mirror and literally go, will they like what they see? Probably not, but it needs to be done if they want to make it back and make the cup blue again. Because, well, I feel quite interesting for the Blues. I mean, going into the start of the year, you thought, okay, Blues definitely in, Golden Knights definitely in, Avalanche definitely in. But whilst the Golden Knights and Avalanche were able to make a good statement throughout the regular season, the Blues, I thought, it was like a roller coaster. So at times you were up, there were times you were down. Other times you went back up, and other times you went back down. Peaks and troughs, Louis, peaks and troughs. It's a bit like a roller coaster, like up, and down again, and go back up again, and down again. There was not really sort of fluidity and a good streak. So it was just a bit of, well, a good few games, good couple of belts, then we're going down a bit. Back on a couple of wins, and then back down on a losing streak. You know what I mean? You get what I mean. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, if we look at the numbers for the Blues, their record was 27-29. It was good enough for them to finish in 4th. That was the shocker. The Blues got the last playoff spot. You would have thought the Blues maybe would have locked into, say, 2nd, 3rd. And it would be the Wild who would have locked out that 4th spot the way around. So their power play was 6th in the league overall, 23.23. Petticoat was 25th in the league at 31 teams, 77.78%. They were 13th in goals for and 19th in goals against. They had 117 goals against, 169 goals for. So that's that's a question mark. I think you might need to make more goals there then. I think the Blues' best player for the team would have been awarded, to both Perron and O'Reilly. Each of them, they had a great season each, and Perron led the team in points with 58 with 19 goals, 29 assists. O'Reilly 54 points, overall 24 goals and 30 assists, and had a 58.8% base of win. O'Reilly also was named the new captain after, obviously, Pietrangelo leaving for the Golden Knights. And that for me was going to be the biggest question, was how were the Blues going to cope with losing, a stunning captain like Pietrangelo. He had a brilliant, obviously, season in that 18-19 season to help the Blues lift the cup. He is going to leave a bit like when Joe Pavelski left us in the Blues Championship season. No, the year after the Blues Championship season, 1920, so the year before, so the 1920 season when Pavelski left us. It leaves a great big whopping hole. And you do always wonder in the first few months of the upcoming season, how were the team handled for that? Now, we in 1920 did not handle that well. The Blues, for this season, with the loss of their captain, I don't know, I think it was a bit patchy maybe, but like I say, Pietrangelo, he left a real big sized hole in the Blues roster there, heading over to the Vegas Golden Knights, and of course he got inked for a 7-year contract there, and there were always going to be difficult shoes to fill. But I think O'Reilly always had to step up to the plate here and be the leader the team is going to need going forward. He's always been there when the team needed him, There's no question about that as to why he now wears the letter C. In addition to that, obviously his points and face-off wins, he's posted a career high this year of plus 25 rating. But obviously, but obviously I think the big test for him is going to be a bit like for local control for us. It's going to be how they cope as a full season, so not a disrupted season like in 1920, or not a shortened season like we had this year. It's going to be like, I think the big test for Arise is going to be how's it going to be like captaining the Blues in a full blow-led 82-game season. That we will tell next year. But just to go back to some of the players, Perron, he finished with 58 points in 56 games, and he's the first Blues player since Pavel Dimitra to achieve a point per game output. He was tied 13 points with between Parrott and Alexander Barkov, and it's not bad for a 32-year-old veteran. Perron was critical to an offense that seemed to have difficulty in scoring this season. His presence was missed in the playoffs, which he missed due to obviously a positive COVID-19 test. But would he have made a difference though? That we'll never know, because the Avalanche obviously qualified as the number one seed, not just in the West, but also the number one seed overall in the league. The Blues qualify as fourth, so it's always going to be hard when you have to go up against the President's Trophy winner, but somebody has to do it. What's been the Blues' disappointment? Well, it'd be difficult to pinpoint the biggest disappointment one the Blues suffered throughout regular postseason. However, going 0-4 in the playoffs would have to be both disappointment and an embarrassment. The playoffs exposed just how thin that defense was stretched over the Blues, and the sidelining of a key player like Perron was felt to the core. The Blues they would have maybe liked to have had that one back, but they were no match, as I mentioned, against the high-flying Avalanche. The team needs to evolve to be a little bit quicker in their decision-making and speed on the ice in order to keep up with teams like Colorado, Tampa Bay, Boston. I know, saying that, but in terms of regular season, Boston is a good team to face. It's just playoffs, maybe. That's when Boston is weakness. Wait to your fans! There we go, that's... So it's a little behind the bench analysis, Craig Ruby, he has been criticised for how he coaches, but it's not always fair to base those criticisms on how a team was played. Yes, it was a disappointing season for the Blues, compared to where they were 2 years ago, but there were a few things in which the Blues were able to excel. The power play, for instance, was very, very, very good. I kind of thought the Blues were one of the few teams where you just did not want to go on the penalty kill because you think, there's a 99% chance they'll get in the back of the net. And they did. There were 6 overall in the league. Brewer gave chances to younger players, which is good, letting them find their feet on the ice. He was able to get the Blues into the playoffs after it seemed all but lost, because the Blues in that back half, I think that's where they struggled the most. There were early points of the year where they and the Kings were sort of flip-flopping from being the 4th and 5th. But at one point, it looked like, it did sort of turn into like a 3-way battle between the Coyotes, Blues, and the Kings. And the question was, could the Blues get in? And they only just, I'd say, managed to do it. Yeah. However, he does tend to have his offensive players try to find the perfect shot. And instead of shoot first mentality, time is wasted on the ice. More pucks on the net equate up to more chances it might go in. The Blues are not the only ones guilty of this, but Rio seems to have made it the norm for the team. And shall we we'll finish off the floor option analysis before I talk about how it was against the Sharks. The Armstrong faced a lot of uncertainty this season, mainly obviously due to the pandemic. That's not really an excuse. But also, there were quite a few injured players this season. During the off-season, he hired former NHL coach Jim Montgomery to work on the power play. As a result, there were 6 in the league, so that's a good work there. Who also brought in Mike Hoffman and decided to stick with Brian Hustle as the backup for Jordan Binnington. Despite the uncertainty surrounding those decisions, they were still the best ones to make for the team. at the time, and he's been criticised for not doing much of anything at the trade deadline. But I think a lot of teams were guilty of that this year. It was a very quiet trade deadline. I think you can maybe argue the fact the Kraken's presence, of them literally coming round the corner, almost here now, and obviously with the expansion draft on the horizon. So I feel so it wasn't just the Blues. A lot of teams I thought this year, which I think I did say early in season 3. I felt they were quite quiet, but probably just about, there's another team literally on the horizons coming in to the rear view mirror, Louis. Yep. And, so maybe that's why. So it wasn't just the quite a number of teams had that. You know as well. They stuck with what they had despite the poor performances and injuries, and on paper the team seemed to be a well put together group of players. When the going got tough, it seemed Armstrong didn't do much to allay the fears of fans. Everything that occurred before and during the season gives those looking at the front office a sense that they did okay, but it just wasn't good enough. It would be up for debate just exactly where improvement could have been made. It's just subjective. However, most might agree that more could have been done to improve. But also, let's not forget, the Blues this year were without an AHL affiliate. Obviously, they made that switch to the Springfield Thunderbirds, who were the former affiliates for the Panthers, who now side with Charlotte. Springfield was one of the 3 teams, along with Charlotte and Milwaukee actually, that chose not to play the AHL season, something the Blues had to buddy up. They buddied up with Utica Comets, who are now the former affiliates of the Vancouver Canucks. It's all now New Jersey. So I think that might have an impact as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the Blues are going to, and Thunderbirds partnership is going to work going into next season. But to finish off with how they did against the Sharks, I think I really look forward to see how all those Blue games. And I was a bit sad that we got most of them out of the way in the first half. I was a bit sad. I couldn't believe it. When we got to the second half, I was like, there's no Blues games. There's loads of Abs games. There's loads of Vegas ones. And quite a fair few Wild nights. But hardly nothing Blue. I felt a bit... it's quite a bit sad on the first half. I think in all 8 games, we weren't in it. They were very cagey affairs. Both sides were in it for the whole 60 minutes. And really, it was going to be whichever team was able to get that little edge. This series easily could have been a tied series, but in the end, obviously, the Blues prevailed overall. I think they won 5 of the 8 games. We won 3. And I think our wins were quite gutsy wins. By the way, and obviously some teams in the series did make a couple of mistakes, and then which sort of cost them, a point or 2. No, but I loved how the Blues did. I really did. I really did.